Mabuhay! This is Ambassador Tess Dizon de Vega from the Philippine Embassy in Berlin, congratulating the Eagle Eye Charities Incorporated of New York and your featured artist, Mr. Nemesio Miranda, also known as Miranda, the father of Philippine imaginative figurism, for embarking on this new project of a mural depicting 500 years of national patriotism. This project could not have been conceived at a more critical time in our history as we look back on the enduring legacies of our heroes from the past and also our present-day heroes, most notably our frontliners, who throughout the world helped stem the tide of the COVID pandemic. May this project also drive home the point that art in these very difficult and challenging times always provides a healing and soothing balm for weary souls. Once again, congratulations at mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Itaas po natin ang ating kanang kamay para sa panatang makabayan at sumunod sa akin. Iniibig ko ang Pilipinas. Ito ang aking lupang sinilangan. Ito ang tahanan ng aking lahi. Ako'y kanyang kinukupkop at tinutulungan upang maging malakas. Maligaya at kapaki-pakinabang. Bilang ganti, dirinding ko ang payo ng aking mga magulang. Susundin ko ang mga tuntunin ng aking paaralan. Tutuparin ko ang mga tungkulin ng isang mamangyang makabayan. At masunurin sa batas. Paglilingkuran ko ang aking bayan ng walang pag-iimbot. At ng buong katapatan. Sisikapin ko maging isang tunay na Pilipino. Sa isip, sa salita, at sa gawa.
Thank you, everyone. What a difference a year makes, isn't it? And you are all here, and we're well and getting together for the first time live since the days of the pandemic. And we are very grateful that you are joining us tonight. And I'm most grateful to have also my co-host here, Dr. Romulo Aramin. But let's give everybody a big hand for making it tonight. Congratulations.
Yes, indeed, and this would have not been made possible were it not for your individual presence.
My name is Carol Tanhutko. I believe I met most of you. And Dr. Romulo Aramin and myself will be leading you through this program. But first of all, this being our first live event, I believe you haven't heard in person our new Consul General in New York. And therefore, before I present to you, let me say something about him. El Mercato, it is my pleasure to introduce our Consul General of New York for the first live gathering. He is a former chargé d'affaires and a head of the mission of the Philippine Embassy in AAA. He had served in various capacities in the Philippines and abroad in the past 22 years. And we remember his first overseas posting at the UN mission, the Philippine mission to the United Nations from 2003 and up to 2010, where he also served as a member of the Philippine delegation of the UN Security Council. That's from 2004 to 2006. And then he was assigned to the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C. from 2012 and until he volunteered to go to Iraq, where he served as chargé d'affaires again and head of the mission of the Embassy of the Philippines in Baghdad, 2015 to 2018. As a recipient of the Gawad Mabini, one of the highest awards that the government of the Philippines can bestow on a Filipino diplomat. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Consul General, my fellow Kapampangan, Consul General El Mercado.
Thank you, Carol, for the very kind introduction. Our honoree this evening, Mr. Nemesio Miranda Jr., Ms. Loida Lewis, Dr. Roma Rumin, Dr. Leo Jurado, friends, guests, mga kababayan, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. I would like to thank Eagle Eyes Charities for hosting this dinner in honor of the 2021 Filipino National Artist nominee for Visual Arts, Mr. Nemesio Miranda Jr. His mural, entitled 500 Years of National Patriotism, will honor not only Filipino heroes of the past, but equally important, our modern-day heroes, especially during this pandemic, our healthcare frontliners. Mr. Miranda is a prime example of how art can unify. A painter, sculptor, and soon-to-be national artist, has produced works like the Lapu-Lapu series that touch the heart. His mural that we would be dedicating later to Filipino frontliners in New York is no exception. Time magazine has reported that the United States medical system has a long history of relying on Filipino healthcare workers to fight in the front lines. Since the Philippines was colonized by the United States more than 100 years ago, it has relied on Filipino healthcare workers to fill in the gap in the U.S. healthcare system. Since 1960, over 150,000 Filipino nurses have migrated to the United States. And according to Nazareno et al. In 2019, 1 out of 20 registered nurses in the United States had been trained in the Philippines. They also continue to be the largest group of foreign-trained nurses in the United States. When COVID struck the US last year, Filipino nurses were in the forefront of the battle to contain the pandemic. It is unfortunate that while Filipino nurses account for only 4% of the total nurses in the United States, they accounted for about 25% of all COVID-related deaths among nurses. Mr. Miranda's mural would pay fitting homage to our nurses and other healthcare professionals who gave up their lives in the fight against the pandemic, as well as those who continue to serve in the front lines. The tradition of honoring heroes through art is continued by Mr. Miranda through his mural. Through the mural, people, especially children and future generations, will not only appreciate art, but also get to reflect on the local heroes that may have impacted them. Teachers can facilitate discussion and encourage their students to think about these everyday heroes who gave above and beyond to make a difference in our community. As the vaccination programs in the United States and in the Philippines continue to reach more and more people, we can expect to find our way towards the road to recovery and a path back to normalcy sooner than expected. Tonight's unveiling of the mural will not only share with our participants the work of Mr. Miranda, but also about how art can be used to honor others, especially the heroes among us. Maraming salamat po. Magandang gabi sa inyo lahat.
Napaglamayan to kagabi, no? Since my time here is so short that I make everything fit and, I don't want to live without leaving our congen memory of my stay here in New York, no? And I want to thank everybody, not only our congen, but everybody who is here tonight, who is supporting all this project by Eagle Eye Charities Foundation that helps our Filipino community in the Philippines. So I would wish that it grows more and more, that you as our philanthropist, our Knights of Rizal, I'm also one of them, that we are all together do our share in uplifting the life of the Filipinos in the Philippines. Mabuhay po ang Pilipino. And the Boy Scouts.
Our keynote speaker today has a number of pedigrees with regards to his clinical as well as his research work. He is a versatile leader, a thoughtful mentor, and an excellent role model. He has led professional organizations, having been a board member for 10 years for the New Jersey Board of Nursing, a past president of the Philippine Nurses Association of New Jersey, and past president of the Philippine Nurses Association of America, where he established a peer-reviewed journal, created a forum for advanced practice nurses, and founded a village in the Philippines providing homes for the impoverished. Time to actually know a bit more of our keynote speaker tonight, and there were some commonalities. He is from Cagayan Valley, and therefore true-blooded Ilocano, and I am Ilocano. Right? He is also very impassioned about doing some research that are going to be data-driven. An example of that is his dissertation entitled Social Construction of Filipino Nurses in the Philippines and as Foreign Educated Nurses in the United States. And we actually talk a little bit about how that became his interest in being able to really define the education of Filipino nurses and how they are actually being utilized to form part of a major and, in fact, a strong workforce in the medical and the nursing field in the United States. Dr. Jurado completed his BSN and BA in English at St. Paul University in Tugigaraw. He had his MA in nursing from New York University and a PhD in urban health systems at Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey, and New Jersey Institute of Technology. He is a professor and the chairman of the Department of Nursing at William Patterson University in Wayne, New Jersey. He also works part-time as an administrative supervisor at St. Peter's University Hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Without any further ado, it is my pleasure to present to you Dr. Leo Felix Jurado.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Naimbag nga Rabiyo Apo, no dati Ilocano ditoy, aside from Dr. Aromin. I cannot speak the other dialects. Ambassador Manalo, Conjen Cato, Madam Loida Lewis. I just spoke with her that we were together in the first NAFA conference in Washington, D.C. in 1997, while I was the president of PNU New Jersey. Dr. Deligo, my friend, who brought me into this event, and Harry. The organizers, Attorney Tanhutko and Dr. Aromin, all board members of the Eagle Eye Charities, philanthropists, civic leaders, millennials. Good evening once again. I know that I cannot do justice speaking on behalf of the many healthcare providers. So I wrote something in my phone because I know that I would be emotional in sharing my experiences. So one of my roles as a nurse is an administrative supervisor at a university hospital in New Jersey. I manage the off-shift operations of the hospital. It is not easy to put my personal feelings and experiences regarding the pandemic in a 5 to 10 minutes talk. Remembering the night when breaking news that COVID-19 reached the US shore, during my rounds, I remember telling the nurses that there's really no need to wear masks in the nurses' station. At that time, there were no cases at the hospital. Little did I know that the following week, everyone had to wear masks, not just a regular mask, but N95, of which the hospital did not have much inventory. Our PPE, there was severe shortage of PPE. Masks were rationed. Nurses had to recycle their masks at the end of the day. They put them in a brown bag with their name on it. They were sent to Central Supply for autoclaving and reuse for 5 days. As COVID-19 cases built up at the hospital, administration had to be quick acting. Scheduled surgeries and procedures were canceled. All staff from all departments were deployed in direct patient care. Units slowly were converted to more COVID units as the number of patients with COVID infection grew. There was a time that I had to do my rounds in the emergency department, and it was packed. Walls are lined up with patients having shortness of breath, and even with masks, it was scary because they were not isolated. I had to walk in between the stretchers with my hands in front of me, attempting not to touch any part of the stretchers because I was scared. All the intensive care units looked like a war zone. Multiple IV pumps and equipments are on the hallway with long tubing connected to patients to minimize entry of nurses into the rooms more often. I remember a night vividly. That was April 15, at the height of the pandemic. that a code blue was called almost every 15 minutes. And I did not know which unit to run because while we are coding a patient in one unit, another unit called for a code blue and went on for the entire evening. I remember finding 3 young nurses at the break room sobbing because they were no longer able to cope with the high patient loads and the conditions of the patient. I had to apologize to them as I kept giving them admissions with limited help since the ER has no place for patients. I went home crying and exhausted that evening. I also remember coordinating the stocking of dead bodies in an outside refrigerator truck because our morgue was full. I had to speak with many families who are angry because they cannot visit their dying family members. Nurses had to use iPads for FaceTime so they can show the patient faces with their families as they're dying. I remember the time that I had to go to a patient room just to visit a doctor who is a friend of mine for the longest time. He was so helpless, shortness of breath, and I cannot even shake or hold his hand as I maintained a distance. I was very scared as he needed assistance to go to the bathroom. My routine was that my wife had to prepare hot water and alcohol in our garage as I came home at midnight. Disrobed my clothes at the garage and ran to the shower. While at home, I maintained distance with my wife and my son because I was always afraid that I was infected. I was always suspicious when I was not feeling well, had to gargle hot water and salt each time I was suspecting a sore throat. I had to take all kinds of vitamins, drank fluids to increase my immunity. There were many moments I did not want to go to work, but as a leader, I also know that I was willing to take the risk, like everyone else. Like every nurse and healthcare workers, our faces were indented with N95. Many nurses had redness and skin irritations that they had to put Vaseline in their faces as they wore N95 for their entire shift. So many of our circle of friends passed. I remember one of my faculty members calling me from a regular unit at the hospital to when he was being transferred to the intensive care unit for intubation. After many days in a ventilator, he passed. I remember when I had to share the information to his students and that I would take over his class moving along. I remember when the president of the Philippine Nurses Association of America, Madeline Yu, and her husband were both infected and hospitalized. The husband eventually passed, as Madeline was sent home to recuperate because the hospital is running out of bed. Her children cannot come to visit her. As the executive director of the Philippine Nurses Association of America, I visited her in her house with my full PPE outfit as I brought her food to eat. It was a dark moment for her and to console her at that time. As Conjen Cato mentioned, the Filipino nurses have higher mortality as compared to the general nurses population. We know that in one of our studies, a bigger percentage of Filipino nurses work in the front line. ICU, ER, nursing homes. They brave themselves to come to work day in and day out because of their commitment to patient care. In the school, as the COVID cases increase, the university shut down, and being the head of the program, I had to figure out how to pivot to online teaching with all the faculty because the hospitals for our students for internship basically closed. So for the entire March to May, we have to figure out how students would meet outcomes so that they could graduate in May. In June, I was able to get a special authorization from the Department of Higher Education in New Jersey to allow us to go back for clinical so that students would be able to continue and graduate quickly so that they'll be able to help with the COVID pandemic. In my role as Executive Director of the Philippine Nurses Association of America, we came up with many events, activities like the Members Campaign. We sent masks to all our members, 5,000 members throughout the United States. We provided a couple of masks for them. We provided psychosocial support through Zoom, yoga classes, counseling. We did a spiritual vigil supporting many members because many chapters are supporting death, providing names of their members who died one after the other. So we created the COVID team for the Philippine Nurses Association of America, and we were able to raise funds to help those that were very much affected. Moving forward, we know as Filipino nurses and healthcare workers, we are resilient. We should continue celebrating our resilience. We continue to campaign for vaccination because there's still resistance with vaccination. And we continue to celebrate nurses as the most trusted profession for the past 17 years. For nurses are the healthcare workers that stay at the bedside 24/7. So again, thank you for allowing me to share my experiences. Good evening.
At this point, I would like to introduce to you the man that we are honoring tonight. And I would like to start with a quote. Says the Master, "What you see in my works are the products of my soul," says the father of imaginative figurism. He creates figures in his imagination, rendered in his nationalistic style of artistry. A famous painter and sculptor from Angono, Rizal, best known for his Edsa Shrine, Edsa Dos, the Layak, and the Layak Battle, and even most recently, the Boy Scouts mural that he set up in Zamboanga, among many, many other gigantic sculptures and landmarks in the Philippines, not just murals, but huge sculptures. He began drawing at the age of 5. And he was inspired by the Filipino comic books, illustration Francisco Coching, and by the Filipino muralist Botong Francisco, his idol. And at the age of 15, that was 1964, he received the first place in the Shankar's International Competition in Painting in New Delhi, India. As a student, he spent 2 years painting under the supervision of Miguel Galvez at the Mabini, where he met painters in the Mabini art. You recall the Mabini art in the Philippines? And those names include Vicente Manansala and Federico Gonzalez, and Paco Grosbe. He finished fine arts major in painting at the University of Santo Tomas in 1970. He is the founder of the Angono Ateliers Association in 1975 and the promoter of Migrantes Festival. You remember that Migrantes Festival?
It is. Yes.
It's so beautiful. I've always been mesmerized by that. He institutionalized the Nemi Miranda Art Museum, the Angono School for the Arts. This is a non-profit teaching, and the Nemi Miranda Art Cafe, which accepts exchange artists from all over the world. You can stay with him, just contact him. There are a few rooms for that purpose. He also served as the chairman of the Angono Tourism Council. And do you know that he also served at the National Commission for Culture and Arts until, I think, 2014. Today, it is his turn. Today, the maestro is nominated for the 2021 National Artist for Visual Arts. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud to present to you the maestro himself, Nemesio, Nemi, Miranda.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Ron. I am so much overwhelmed by the introduction of Carol. And this event, I have not in my mind that will come for so short a time of her invitation. These things that is happening now, I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you very much for coming here for so short notice, and that I'm so honored to meet all the Filipino philanthropists and the people who work for the Filipinos in our country, serving our country, the doctors and nurses also. The mural that Carol was talking about was an extension of my 3 years of working on an exhibition that will be in the Philippines in the 3rd week of July. I'm working on a series of paintings about our first national hero, Lapu-Lapu. Very short notes that I have researched about Lapu-Lapu. Napakaikli ng kanyang istorya sa ating Philippine history. It was only Antonio Pigafetta who wrote little things about Lapu-Lapu because Lapu-Lapu was the person who have won the first battle in Mactan, the victory at Mactan when he killed slashed Magellan in that encounter. No? Hindi niya gustong mapasakop sa mga banyaga. Ayaw niyang pasakop sa mga banyaga. So he stand and fought for that right for freedom. And so this year, from 1521 to 2021, we are now celebrating the quincentenary, the 500 years of our victory of Mactan, the foundation also of our Christianity. So, and also the continuing story that we Filipinos, as many heroes have come after him, from Lapu-Lapu to Jose Rizal, and today our frontliners, the nurses and doctors throughout the world who are doing and helping people to survive in this pandemic. No? So from Lapu-Lapu to our present-day heroes, that's the content of my coming exhibition that will happen in third week of July at the Legislative Philippine Congress in Quezon City. So through the airport also and the partnership with the Congressional Spouse Foundation, the exhibit will push through in July. So I'm so thankful that my series of Lapu-Lapu exhibit goes to America. In Los Angeles last week, we opened the exhibit also at our Philippine Consulate, and today here in New York. And I think the exhibit will continue to our Philippine Consulate in New York. I would like to request our Congen Elmer Cato to extend this exhibit also to our consulate in Chicago and San Francisco. I'm willing to extend and visit these places to showcase this painting series that we honor our past and present day heroes, which is very relevant today, our present day heroes, our healthcare workers. So with that, we created a mural here that speaks of that ideal, the 500 years of patriotism, the mural that started from the victory of Mactan to the our Philippine independence, where Jose Rizal was there, and today our present-day heroes, our healthcare workers. So I would like to thank everybody, the Filipinos in the U.S., especially here in New York, that I am so proud to bring this home, that I met the fine leaders of the community, Filipino community here in the eastern place in the U.S., in New York. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay po ang ating mga healthcare workers.
We will now be doing the unveiling of the mural, courtesy other than our national artist nominee, Nemi Miranda, and the president of the Eagle Eye Charities, Carol Tantuco.
Mission accomplished.
Salamat po. On April 27, 1521, in Mactan Island of the Philippines, War Chief Lapu-Lapu killed the Portuguese invaders Ferdinand Magellan. He was the first national hero who depicted Filipinos' many facets of life, such as being a leader, a warrior, a farmer, fisherman, laborer, trader, teacher, lover, and family man, just as depicted in the sketches of the maestro, Nemi Miranda. As you can see also in his mural, in his honor, and up to the next generations of 500 years to come.
The Philippine national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, born on June 19, 1861, was a surgeon, a painter, a poet, a journalist, and a political leader who faced execution for the love of his country on December 31st, 1861. His parting words were written in his poem, Mi Ultimo Adios. He published a novel, Noli Me Tangere, and its sequel, El Filibusterismo, that detailed the corruption, greed, and cruelty of the Spanish regime.
On June 12, 1898, the Philippines won her independence from Spain, with General Emilio Aguinaldo elected as the first president. An American possession from 1898 to 1946, the Philippines survived the devastation of World War I and World War II with volunteer army and the enlisted guerrillas, paying for the ultimate price of freedom. On the 4th of July, 1946, the United States finally acknowledged the independence of the Republic of the Philippines.
Fast forward to the 21st century, a global pandemic shut down the whole world, calling for the quarantine of all peoples in their homes, except for tens of thousands of healthcare workers and frontliners who were called to battle COVID-19 virus that threatened to annihilate humanity. Lives lost cannot be compared to the heroic acts of our valiant soldiers, but the number alone is a cold testimony of how frail human lives can be.
And so today, we dedicate this mural art in honor of all the modern-day heroes in Manhattan, New York, this 23rd day of June in the year of our Lord, 2021. Iniibig ko ang Pilipinas. And now we would like to call the maestro to please assign the promulgation.
So it is my pleasure to present to you a nurse, a manager, and foremost, a Filipina-American nurse, Kim Villamer.
Ang bayan kong Pilipinas, lupain ng ginto't bulaklak, pag-ibig na sa kaniyang palad, nag-alay ng ganda't dilag, at sa kanyang yumi at ganda, dayuhan ay naalina. Bayan ko, pinihag ka, nasadlak sa dusa. Ibon man may layang lumipad, kulungin mo at umiiyak. Bayan pa kayang sakdal dilag, ang di magnasang makaalpas. Pilipinas kong minumutya, pugad ng luha ko't dalita. Aking adhika, makita kang sakdal, layang. Bayan pa kayang sakdal dilag, ang di magnasang makaalpas. kot dalita aking adhika makita kang sakdalaya makita kang sakdalaya.
The co-founder of the National Federation of Filipino American Association, known as NAFA. And now, I don't know how many branches they have all over United States. And NAFA and Ms. Loida Nicolas Luz collaborates with a number of charity organizations such as ours, Eagle Eye Charities, and 100 others. We are very grateful for your support, Madam Loida Nicolas Luz.
Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Good evening, everyone. Consul General Cato and distinguished guests. First of all, I think after hearing our guest speaker, Dr. Rado's very, very stirring, heart-rendering story of what really happened during those 1.5 year of pandemic. Thank you for telling us your first-hand experience. I think all of us here should give thanks. Take a moment to give thanks to Almighty God because we are all safe. So loving Father, Almighty God, Lord of the entire universe, we thank you, we bless you, we glorify you, and thank you for keeping us safe and our family from the pandemic. We ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, all of us are having a nice time in this beautiful place, and we have to acknowledge the leadership, the vision, and the hard work of two people. The vision of the president of the Eagle Eye Charities, Attorney Carol Tanhutco. And her co-host, who saved us from an embarrassing situation if we were in the other place. So for at the last minute, he was able to get this place. A big hand, please, for Dr. Romulo Aromin. And you can see how well they have planned the whole thing. First of all, for Dr. Romulo to let us recite again what we recite in the Philippines. What's the name now again? Panatang Makabayan. And didn't it touch your heart to remember all the things that we promised? Another big hand for Dr. Romin. And the care of Carol in thinking of something that we can all write our name with. And this is what is this called? Proclamation for today. And look at all of your names on an easel. Okay? Thinking of how to do that. And of course, we all had a good meal. So thanks to the chef of this place. We are very honored to have, for me, he's already our national artist, Nemi Miranda. Yes, thank you, thank you. And for his identifying truly the heroes of today, the frontline workers, the nurses, the doctors, the medical practitioner, and since some of them are here, okay, I would like the frontliners, the doctors, therapists, medical practitioners to please stand up so that we honor you. All of you. Yes, yes. Yes, thank you. Congratulations. Maraming salamat. Maraming salamat. Thank you. Thank you. Salamat. And I also would like to thank the two singers for the Philippine national anthem and for the U.S. hymn, national hymn, and the extra songs that was given by the nurse, Kim Villamar, and is it Nemi? Who is the other one who sang? Okay, so for the two of them, please give them a big hand. Okay, yes. And if you don't mind, Maestro Miranda, he gave the official interpretation, but I think this is really the real interpretation. Okay? If you look at his canvas, it really portrays the Philippines, the Filipinos. First, he started with the first hero who fought for the freedom of the Philippines, Lapu-Lapu, and all of you, I guess, have chosen the sketches he made, the Lapu-Lapu series. Another big hand for our maestro. Then he followed it up with our national hero, Jose Rizal. Because of his writing, he did not have a sword, but because of his writing of Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, we, our Filipinos, took up the cudgel and fought the Spanish tyranny, the Spanish colonial rule. So, one, let's give a big hand for the Knights of Rizal who are here. Please stand up. Please stand, Knights of Rizal. The Knights of Rizal, maraming salamat for your keeping up the principles of Jose Rizal. And for those of you who were lucky enough to watch the Noli Me Tangere opera produced by two people here, Jerry Sibal and Edwin Joshua. Please stand up. Thank you, thank you. So those are depicted in this mural that our national artist did. And if you will see also, well, of course, we have mentioned before the frontliners, the hero of 2021. But what I'd like you to see is also, aside from we Filipinos abroad, with the Statue of Liberty, and the 500 years arrival of Christianity in the Philippines, I forgot to say, there is one aspect of the Philippines that was never conquered by Spain. And that is I'm wearing a national costume of the Tiboli tribe and of the Muslim culture and religion by our Filipino brothers in the South. It is exemplified by Princess Potri. This is Princess Potri over here. So we are here depicted in this mural, the entire history of the Filipinos. But there is one thing that he says is the Filipino now in the Philippines. If you see in the middle is a man with his hand in chains. Because truly, right now, that is what the Filipino in our Philippines are suffering. The endless killing of innocent people accused of being drug addicts or drug dealers, not drug lords. The invasion of the Philippines by our big neighbor, China. The endless debt that we have tripled our debt from the last time. And where do they go? To the pockets of our ruling people, our government. And so we see Juan de la Cruz. His hands are in chain. And so for us here, Filipinos, in the United States, we should not forget. We should go to their help. We all send money because right now we send $27 billion in the Philippines. That's from Filipinos, the 10 million Filipinos abroad. Yes, thank you. Thank you sa inyong tulong. But the most important is our election in May 2022. Don't forget them. Whatever you can do, telephone call, tell them to vote for the right person so that Philippines can stand up and no longer be the poor man of Asia. But finally, let's take our place in the family of nations, held high, because then we fought for our freedom once again. Thank you.
Please accept our gratitude for joining us in this very important time of our lives. Master Nemi Miranda, this is him. This is his symbol. There's always a bird. The eagle is the symbol. Is our symbol here in the United States, and our charity. So first, I would like to call on Arts Zamora. Please join the master here. Yes. And please accept our gratitude. You know, he's always bubbling with ideas. And did you know that there's an Art Zamora Day in San Francisco in honor of an exemplary artist? Thank you. And Giorgio, Austria. Yeah, as young as he is, these two gentlemen are holders of the Extraordinary Artist Visas, or the O Visa, and we are very proud to have them at Eagle Eye Charities as our advisors. And they always, we always reach out to them, and they never say no. So our gratitude, thank you. We saw this entire pandemic, and there's one young lady. And this is what we call the brave of heart. She's a COVID survivor. Her entire family is a COVID survivor. But here she is. She's still volunteering. The Miss Republic of the Philippines in 2020, Miss Excelsa de Jesus. Come on, please. No big idea. May I call the mom and the dad? Dad, Pastor Willie, who runs a congregation. Dad is a healthcare worker as well. Thank you. COVID survivors. The brave of heart, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Excelsa de Jesus. Thank you. It has been a long time coming, since last year. The patron of the arts and humanities. When we conceive of the Eagle Eye Charities, he was there, he jumped into the idea, he's all in. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you my frequent co-host, Dr. Romulo Aromin. You're surprised.
Thank you, Paul.
He's the blood of this company.
This was a surprise. I didn't expect it. Thank you.
So Kindingson Dao advocacy is to assert, to reclaim, and preserve the ancestral living tradition of the indigenous Muslim people of Mindanao, Southern Philippines. Potri is also a registered nurse. She's also a healthcare worker. But did you know that she's also a lawyer in the Philippines? And at this point, may I call Miss Potri to offer her prayer chant.
Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everyone. Consul General Cato, Ambassador Manalo, Tita Loida, and everyone, I would love to play this musical instrument. Carol asked me to play a flute, but I don't have a flute, so I'll play this indigenous musical instrument that actually belongs to the people that Tita Loida is representing today, the Tiboli people. It's called kubing. That's a short number because we have to go home. We'll entertain you more later. And somebody texted this to me when to read to my patients actually. But today I'm about to read it to you. It's a short verse and I'm going to chant it. It is when things are at their worst that Allah subhanallah or God will raise the best generation. The generation that all the prophets would be too proud and would be looked up. أعوذ بالله الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين Amen. Assalamualaikum.
And now I would like to call back Miss Excelsa de Jesus to render us a few songs of love.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to serenade you guys with a couple of songs. I handpicked these songs because I felt it really resonated with this event and with what is going on. And so for the first song, I dedicate this to our coming out of this pandemic. We have fought so hard, we have been so brave, and we are just looking forward to the day where we can be just reunited with our loved ones again. I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, and it feels like home. They could say it all sounds crazy. They could say we've lost our minds. But I don't care if they call me crazy. Run away to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world can be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. Could we get the instrumental a little bit higher? Thank you. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I require, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say we've all gone crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. But I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we've designed. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world can be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. however small, let me be a part of it all. Share your dreams with me. We may be right, we may be wrong, still I want to bring you along to the world we see, to the world I close my eyes to see, I close my eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head, a million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world can be, a vision of the one I see, a million dreams is all it's gonna take, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make, for the world we're gonna make. Thank you. Now, for this next song, I'd like to thank the frontliners for all their hard work and their service. You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fire, but I see it in you, so we're gonna work it out and move mountains. We're gonna work it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up, high like the waves, I'll rise up, in spite of the ache, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I swear to you we'll bring the world to its feet and move mountains. We're gonna walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day, I'll rise up, in spite guys. Thank you guys, you frontliners. Maraming salamat po. You guys are the ones that really make the difference. You guys are the ones who go out every single day. Despite of the dangers you face with COVID, you guys just go out there like soldiers. And I salute you guys so much. Thank you. Like a small boat on the ocean, making big waves into motion. Like how a single word can make a heart open. I might only have one voice, but I can make an explosion. And all the things I didn't say, wrecking balls inside my brain, I will scream them loud tonight. Can you feel my voice this time? This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm alright song. My power's turned on. Starting right now, I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I don't really care if nobody else believes, 'cause I've still got a lot of fight left in me. Losing hours and I'm chasing sleep. Everybody's worried about me. I'm in too deep. They said I'm in too deep. And it's been 2 years, I miss my home, but there's a fire burning in my bones, and I still believe, yeah, I still believe. All the things I didn't say, wrecking balls inside my brain, I will scream them loud tonight. Can you feel my voice this time? This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm alright song. My power's turned on. Starting right now, I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I don't really care if nobody else believes, 'cause I've still got a lot of fight left in me. A lot of fight left in me. Like a small boat on the ocean, making big waves into motion. Like how a single word can make a heart open. I only got one voice, but I can make an explosion. This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm alright song. My power's turned on. Starting right now, I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I don't really care if nobody else believes, 'cause I've still got a lot of fight left in me. No, I've still got a lot of fight left in me. Dakilang bayan, kapayapaan, dito'y muli mo nakamtan. Tulad nung araw, bago hinagaw, ang kayamanan mo, ang iyong kalayaan. Nang pahiran ko, luha ng iyong puso ay natayong muli ang karangalan mo. Maraming salamat po.